Mummies, daddies, aunties, uncles, you are tuned in to SRC Radio, where we talk all things parenting between the hours of 7 and 7:30 p.m. each Thursday. That's right. You know how we do it. We're going to be talking all things impacting student achievement and a little of this, a bit of that, and so much more. We're getting into it all right here on SRC Radio. I'm excited. Are you excited? I know the guests joining us this evening are excited. Guess what? Hey, it's going to be an exciting conversation. So click like, click share, tell a friend, tell everyone that SRC Radio is live now. And you're listening to SRC Radio with your host, Alina, principal at SRC Private Primary. And joining me tonight is none other than Mommy Richards. Hey, Mommy Richards, how's you doing?
Hi. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, so excited to have you here. We continue with part 2, Mommy Richards. We got into a deep, most interesting conversation last week where we were talking about juggling kids and managing schedules. And just to remind those, in case they missed it or they're new to this broadcast and they did not hear the part 1, and we're going to definitely leave the link to part 1 in the description box below, guys. We were talking about the challenges associated with getting into virtual learning, and the parents were expressing prioritizing was a challenge, and they were talking about how chaotic things were, that it was overwhelming. And definitely we touched on it but didn't get into details, and we're looking forward to doing that this evening, where we want to talk about priorities. And we want to definitely talk about routines that helped with juggling the kids and managing the schedule. So, Mommy Richards, between last week to now, tell me what has dawned on you. I know we had some chats in between, some non-streaming chats talking about it all. But tell me, what do you now see differently, if anything, that parents can really glean from, even as we look at the further shutdown, Mommy Richards? We home again. Oh, my gosh. So tell me, what is standing out for you?
Well, I have maintained being in solution mode straight through now.
Yeah. So and we take a minute. Make sure to explain for those who are new. When you say maintain solution mode, what are you talking about?
Well, for me, it's about the fact that, every day there's a new challenge or something that's going to pop out of nowhere. So it's just to basically be able to jump into action and say, okay, this is how it's going to be done. This is how we can do it. And then we get everything done in a reasonable time without the pressures of the day and feeling that overwhelmed feeling. Even trying my kids, of trying to be a little more independent in their learning, being there to support, but not, involved in a way that I may be taking over the show, giving them their space to grow and do what they have to do. And, so that's how it works out. So far, it's going well for me. It requires a lot of patience.
Yeah, tell me, Mommy, when you talk about kids becoming independent as part of managing the schedules, could you share a bit more about that? Because you have kids, Mommy Richards. You have 3 kids, and for those who are listening on, Mommy Richards has 3 kids, all of them at the primary level, ranging from infant 1 to standard 3. So, Mommy Richards, when you talk about helping the kids to become more independent, tell me, what is that process like for you dealing with 3 young boys?
Well, in the beginning, to me, was a bit overwhelming, but these days, giving them that space to do their stuff, so I had to let go as a parent. So with my youngest, I would have sat in there and made sure he was well adjusted and make sure that he's getting the information the teacher was giving him. And in it, I realized that, I have not given him the room to do what he needs to do, because when he's in school, I'm not going to be there with him. So we give him that space to get accustomed to mommy not being right there by his side, that dependency on mommy to, relate what thing is for him to adjust to listening to miss. And this is what my teacher is teaching, and this is what I'm, and then come back and relate to me instead. So that way we could have a productive discussion afterwards on what it is he would have done in class. And then we will move on and say, okay, this is what you have difficulty and this is what you didn't understand. And it works with all my boys doing it that same way, giving them
Yeah.
that space to do their stuff. So that way we can have a discussion in the afternoon, like, how was it today? What is this? What was your challenges today? What did you achieve today? And then we hash it out and we get things done.
I love that because, Mommy Richards, and I'm reflecting on a conversation you and I had recently about preparing to be effective as a parent in directing student learning and directing your kids. And one of the things we talked about, and just taking a minute to share it with those who would be listening to the broadcast, is that we want to remember that when our children were in brick and mortar, going out, leaving the house of physical schools, for most parents, we would have developed years of building a sort of routine, whether it was the best routine, a slightly dysfunctional routine. We developed a routine. By the time our children are in standard one, let's say, you would have gone through a routine of maybe a year or two of preschool, 2 years of infants, then standard one. You have 5 years of trying to master a skill. COVID hit us in March 2020. And so if we have, as parents, to give ourselves some room and some grace to discover in the ebbs and flows of it all. So, Mommy Richards, I want to ask you, as you consider your ebbs and flows of thinking about how to navigate the at-home routine, to get your kids ready on time, to have them focused and mentally ready for the day, what are some of the things, as you reflect on last week's discussion, that you see you definitely want to continue doing? These are things that have worked well for you. What are some of those things?
For me, it wasn't not trying to be superwoman, because I was trying to be here, there, and everywhere all at once. It wasn't productive for me in terms of getting things prepared as of last week, I should say. So it wasn't productive, last week and beyond, I should say. So things were getting done, but it getting done halfway. It wasn't reaching the standard that I'm accustomed to for myself. So now it is I get up, and because they are doing independent learning, I get up, I can make breakfast on time. Everything is, their desk is ready, they're prepared. So I set up the room in a way that they can function. And then I am on my way. I do my chores. I come back to my desk, checking from time to time, make sure that they are in line in whatever they have to do. And my day flows.
I love that. And you said something, Mommy Richards, there that really sparked me. And that is, you talked about making sure they're set up. And even as we talk about, I want to encourage parents to think about this. And, I was chatting about it. I had a meeting with some standard 5 parents recently, and we were talking about this whole virtual learning experience and really understanding as parents what you need. And one of the things we're identifying is a 3-part experience that says when we cater to our kids, we want to be mindful of their biological needs, we want to be mindful of their emotional, psychological needs, and we want to be mindful of their environmental needs. And the juggle in there sometimes is where the trickiness comes in, because we want to make sure, like you talk about breakfast, mommy, and making sure they eat. We want to make sure we get their biological needs met. We want to make sure we have a routine. Think about it this way, mommies and daddies. When they were in physical school, you had a time you had to get up, you had to get bathed by a particular time, eat by a particular time, dress by a particular time. One of the challenges in online learning is that because we assume the computer right over there, we sleep later than we would, we are less prepared, we give less planning into our preparedness, and we need to give more energy that way. So yes, you mightn't have to get up 3 o'clock in the morning anymore to maybe prep for the kids, but maybe it might require getting up an hour earlier, because guess what? If we allow the kids to stay up until midnight, 1 o'clock playing games, watching television, and then they're groggy, and we pull them out of bed and say, hey, you have to get up now, class starting in 15 minutes. Let's be honest, are they really going to be focused? Are they ready? They've not eaten, they've not prepared, they've not gotten their environment together, they don't have their books ready. So we have to look at the level of preparation. So Mommy Richards, when you think about the things to avoid, and when we talk about things to avoid, I'm encouraging you to reflect on the things you have made a conscious decision to change. What would some of those things be that you could share with those who will be listening from your perspective as a parent?
One thing I will say for sure is that we have to be the children example. So if we are flustered in the morning and we are not adjusted and we see overwhelmed, our kids going to be overwhelmed.
Wow, I want
It
to
is a
interrupt you. I want to interrupt you. Oh my gosh, this is SRC Radio. We can't even put it up on the screen, my word. But Mommy Richard just said to us, guys, be the example. Hey, let that be the mantra for this week coming. That mommies, daddies, aunties, uncles, we're going to be being the example. All right, finish interrupt your mommy. Go ahead.
Yeah, so being that example, because we don't want our kids to sit down there and say, okay, if mommy can't do it or daddy can't do it, how could we do it? If this is so hard for them, online school is so hard for them to get just to, I'm just a child. So just reminding ourselves, the state of mind, always trying to be positive, always being that voice of encouragement. Because before, when they were going out to school, I remember in previous episode, I remember telling you all my mantra to my kids, you are the son of the king, you are destined for greatness. And then if I'm not living in that truth, then my child cannot function the way he should, because I'm like, this is too much for me to handle. I right now I can't do it. So this is one of the biggest things that you should avoid. And then everything will be realistic to yourself. They're going to have days where you will feel some sort of overwhelmed. You may not be feeling well. You may not be wake up with that, like, oh gosh, today is really online school for the kids. You may just want to do something different because we are home. But it's just to keep that mental state that, we are in these times. It is a hard time for all of us. And to be that support, be that echo even to the teachers, extend that positivity throughout.
Yes.
And if it starts from this home, it will definitely spread to others. So it's just keeping that positive spirits.
Yeah, so we're saying be the example, because you're dropping some big nuggets here. No, this is not even nuggets. This is big piece of chicken we're talking about. Hey, talking some big things here. Be the example. Start off with positivity. Communicate with teachers. We're saying some big things here. Go ahead, mommy. Go ahead. I'm cheering you on. Go ahead.
I remember having a discussion with our parents recently, and the online system, it's pertaining to our sons in creative writing aspect of things. And, we weren't getting that, we wasn't reaching there with our kids. And we're like, what are we going to do? How are we going to handle it? I don't think the school, and I went to that zone where we're going to sit down there and we're probably blaming the school system. And it's like, you know what? You can't blame the school system, because reality is that we are home with our kids. We need to put things in place. And even if it is something is left off in that online program, our children are still the ones that are going to have to write SCA, who will have to write the exam. And if we don't work with them at home or don't give them that extra push at home, they cannot do it on their own. So be that help, be that voice to keep on helping them and guiding them. We don't have to do it, because helping and doing is two different things.
Yes, say it again, mommy. You're sounding like a SRC parent. Yes.
Yes,
say
SRC
it again,
taught
mommy.
me a lot. So it's to make sure that we remember what is helping. Sometimes it's as simple as, I could give a little example. Sometimes simple as, a child has to write a creative writing piece. And, you just need to remind and refresh your mind, like, remember there are simple questions we ask: who, what, where, when, why, and how. Yes. And then, you guide them and you say, okay, well, you tell me who is in the story. What is in the story? You are not giving them the story. Yes. You are just guiding them. And then you leave them and say, here, what? Now that you have this, you go right. And then I will just check it over and see where you have punctuation marks and give you that moment to lift up yourself. Because if we sit down there and we write this essay for you all, what are you actually doing? Yes, you may model and say, okay, copy it. But then sometimes that's not what is being asked or required. You're just modeling and creating something of repeating what somebody else did. So you want to, flourish in your time. That is creative, right? That's your creation. That's your expression. And allow them to express themselves. Yes. Children are going to get weary. They're going to get tired. They're going to get frustrated. They're going to have moments where they're going to cry on screen. and like this morning is not the day.
Yeah.
Just allow them to live in their moment and live in their truth, and keep
Yes.
on pushing them, and be that voice of encouragement.
Yeah, I love it. Listen, when I tell you you drop the whole bag and everything fall off one time. That is the way, because that's what it is. We talk about juggling kids and managing schedules as sometimes as though it's supposed to be some sort of perfected process that where there are no challenges, there's nothing that's going to go wrong, and it's going to be complete such a smooth ride. But I love the points that you're reminding parents of, Mommy Richards, because what you're bringing to the forefront is that it is not about perfection, and it's not about the having the smooth seamless experience, because reality is on a day-to-day basis it's not experienced like that. But juggling kids and managing schedules means, and I love how you put it, start off by being the example. If as mommy or daddy you are ready when the morning comes, you practice getting up, putting things in place, becoming prepared, being organized, then that demonstration leads your kids to function in the same way. Because who are they modeling? If you are the model in the house, then what your children do is a reflection on you as the parent. I mean, unless you're talking about a circumstance where they spend more time with someone else other than you. But if they're at home with you all day, you're the one modeling it. So, as Mommy Richard said, be the example. And I love that point because it's so important, parents, when Mommy Richards reminded us doing. What is it that you said, Mommy Richard? Doing and showing are not the same thing. Is that the phrase that you
Doing and
use?
helping is not the
Doing
same
and
thing.
helping, yes. Because a lot of times what we're doing is we are creating a facade. We're creating an image that, oh, my child understands it all. But how much of the work that is being submitted, especially now that we're submitting work online, how much of the work being submitted really is a reflection of the student's thought, of the student's ability? How many? Or is it your thought? Is it your ability? So we want to be mindful. We want to be careful that we are helping and not doing, because our kids are the ones who are going to be cheated if we do it and not help them to become independent. Notice we hear mommy Richard's talking about that a lot, helping her kids to become independent learners, to know how to take responsibility. Oh, I feel so good because I tell you, last week's in part one, boy, we talked about all the problems and only 2 minutes of solution. So I feel so happy and excited that as we talk about juggling kids and managing schedules, we really are able to take it to the next level. But Mommy Richards, we talked about the juggling kids' responsibilities, all of that. But when we go into the scheduling part of things, what in your experience has helped to make it an easy, or as easy as possible, an easy experience?
Well, one tool that I have started to use was the Excellence Journal to
Boom!
guide my,
Big clap, big clap,
yes,
big. We need sound
is to
effects
help
on
my
SRC
process.
Radio here, boy. Go ahead.
So the Excellence Journal was an excellent tool to basically mapping out the day-to-day structure of what my kids are about to do, what they have to do, as well as extracurricular other things. So we could have plotting, revision time, time for classes, that kind of thing, what we're going to do on a Saturday. And then we could strategize in terms of, when we're going to work on certain things with them. So it's a plus using that tool. Um, and then also maintaining, well, obviously the schools itself will have their own particular timetable. So that's working along, making sure that, everything is structured, having things in place. Make sure you have things in place. It might take up a little time in the morning, but make sure that snacks is there. So as they break for lunch, everything is there, aligned for your kids, and that day it will ease your process as well.
Definitely. And for those, even as Mommy Richards mentioned that, just to make a point for those who are listening in the now, we are what? We are in the fourth week of April, reminding parents that the Excellence in Parenting program, which support parents, begins next week, which is the first week in May. So if you've not signed up yet, we want to encourage you, get in touch. 272-1987-310-8979 are the numbers you can call to tele-register for the Excellence in Parenting program, where we hold your hand and guide you through and help you understand how to figure out the dynamics of the planning, the study schedule, understanding your child, their learning, their development, what to do, what not to do. We hold your hand through it, moms and dads, and the Excellence Parenting is there to support you. So super excited that Mommy Richards mentioned the Excellence Journal. SRC parents, put your hands up, SRC parents. All of you got your copies already by now. So get ready, parenting webinars begin. And for those of you who are not SRC parents, but you want to benefit from the Excellence in Parenting program, be sure to call in, get your seat slotted in, and be a part of it. So even as we wrap up this conversation, Mommy Richards, what closing thoughts do you think is super important for parents to keep in mind as we continue? We're going into the fourth week of the school term. So as we continue on with juggling our kids and managing schedule, what are your closing words for parents listening in?
They're only this age for a little while. Enjoy it. Make the best of the situation. Lead by example, and we maintain the positivity.
Boom, and there we have it. So ladies and gentlemen, mummies, daddies, aunties, and uncles, this is Miss Lewis signing off. Hey, this has been SRC Radio, and we're here with you every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. and you can catch us, I'll tell you next week, but we're going to be live on the radio. I believe, I don't want to tell you. Stay tuned to our Facebook page. We're going to be live on radio, where you're going to get to learn more about how to support your children during the pandemic while they're learning from home. So be sure to follow us on our social media platforms at SRC Private Primary on Facebook, and you're going to get those updates where you could tune in to our upcoming radio interview next week, where we're going to be sharing a whole lot more to empower you to better support your kids at home. Until then, have a great one, guys.